This is Gene Lance on the Workers Beat Extra. We're starting Black History Month, and we were fortunate to be able to get Amber Sims. They just recently acknowledged the lynching that took place in downtown Dallas. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, Mr. Allen Brooks was lynched off of Main Street in Dallas. It was alleged that actually it was believed that enslaved people had. It was said that he had raped someone or caused harm to a young girl. There's no evidence of that, but he was taken from his cell and yeah, in jail and hung up on the Elks Bridge, which stood prominently in downtown Dallas. I believe it showed at the fair at one point and then it just disappeared. But you think about crowds, there are postcards that remain of thousands and thousands of people out to watch the lynching.
Celebrating.
Right? The lynching of a Black man and the inhumanity of that, but not to mention that Dallas has a really storied history, of violence and of harm to Black people, and not just we think about the lynchings and murders, but also just the economic harm. You talk about the harm that's been done through labor movements, but the inability of a lot of Black citizens and brown people and people that are poor to really make a life in a city that is prospering and thriving and has done so ever since it became a settlement and erased indigenous people that were here, and then continued to profit off of cotton labor, and has continued to profit off of labor and folks not being paid equitable wages.
But you did manage to get some acknowledgement of this lynching now, and there is a historical marker. They kept it quiet for over 100 years.
Yeah.
And now at least people know about it. Now my question is, how does knowing about these historical facts, how does that help us cope with the world today? What good comes from it?
A lot of good. I mean, so much is important. America, while it says that it's a country that doesn't want to look back, we do a lot of looking back and commemorating. The question continues to be who we can commemorate and who we give voice to. And the folks that have been commemorated too often are white, able-bodied, cis, white men and white people. And so what we're asking is
and some of the most racist of the white people have been celebrated for a long, long time.
And what we're asking is, I remember I grew up here between Pleasant Grove and Mesquite, and really feeling ashamed in school learning, during Black History Month, we'd learn about 3 to 4 Black people. And it was what Malcolm X, no, we didn't learn about Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Frederick Douglass, and Harriet Tubman, and, maybe add in a few more people, but it wasn't inclusive. And I really felt a lot of shame around my ancestors being enslaved. But when we talk about changing narrative and the importance of learning history, is it means something else to say that our ancestors built this country, that the economy of the United States was built on the labor of enslaved people, but that also after enslavement, my ancestors came to a place like Dallas and created a life. They created community, they created homes, schools, and they flourished. And it's a wonder to just see how this community, the Black community in Dallas, has continued to rebuild. But I really want us to think about what we keep asking people to do. It's honestly insurmountable odds, and how do we move on from that?